Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, this story I got for you has to do with two cities or states in particular. We're talking about Philadelphia, and we're talking about the state of Florida near Tampa, where we had a youth football team that traveled from Philadelphia to Florida to play in a championship game. But before I get into that story, I think two of the toughest jobs to have in today's time, I think, would be one, middle school or high school teacher, and two, to be a youth football, basketball, baseball coach. And it's not because of the kids per se, it's because of the parents. A lot of the parents that we have today are not taking adult responsibilities for how they're raising their children. You have kids raising kids, or kids raising themselves, no discipline, no structure, no rules, and no one to navigate them through this crazy world. We are living in a very chaotic time, and we have many, many fractured, fatherless homes. So it makes it very tough to be a middle school teacher. These kids are bringing a lot of problems from home to school. You have to be more than a teacher, a psychologist, a therapist, a friend, a mentor. And it's the same way with youth sports. As a youth sports coach, these kids are coming with a lot of chaos and disruption. But what is sports supposed to teach you? Sports supposed to teach you discipline, how to handle losing, how to handle winning, how to get through adversity, how to be a team player. Those are all the things as a middle school or a young kid in youth sports. It's not just about wins and losses and your team going undefeated. It's supposed to teach you discipline and how to follow rules and instructions, the difference between right and wrong. Sports can play a very intellectual and philosophical basis for young kids, just like school and its academic endeavors. But here again, we've got some bad teachers, we got some bad parents, and we got some terrible coaches that are out here. And that gets trickled down to our young folks. And so this football team, which was undefeated in Philadelphia, traveled all the way to Florida to play a championship football game for these kids that were around 14 and 15 years old. And that Saturday, the day before the game, at least 8 to 10 of these kids on this football team decided they were going to go to a sporting goods store and steal over $2,000 worth of goods. And they got caught and arrested and ended up not being able to play in the game, they got charged with felonies. And this great situation of traveling, you see a lot of youth teams in basketball and football that are traveling now, like high school teams and even college teams. Sports is being really pushed to the front of these kids nowadays with the kind of salaries you're seeing with professional athletes. But evidently these kids did not have much guidance. They went to a sporting goods store and decided to steal, and then they got into a world of trouble, and they did not get to play in a championship game, and then they ended up losing. So let's get into this story. This was a few months ago. I hadn't had a chance to talk about it or display it on my channel. So teen football players arrested after alleged $2,000 Dick's Sporting Goods theft. The suspects couldn't play in their championship game due to being detained. So 8 Philly teen football players were arrested for allegedly stealing over $2,000 worth of gear before their game. The players, some starters, were barred from the championship after allegedly stealing from Dick's Sporting Goods, contributing to their 20-point loss. So let's get into the more grave details of what happened. And where were the parents? And how did they get to the sporting goods store? Did somebody drive them? Did they get an Uber? If they did get an Uber or Lyft, an adult had to get it for them because they were under 18 years old. And minors are not supposed to be unaccompanied in an Uber or a Lyft, even though it happens all the time. So 8 teenagers on a Philadelphia youth football team were arrested and charged with felonies after they allegedly stole thousands of dollars worth of merchandise from a Dick's Sporting Goods store in Florida only hours before their championship game. So these kids should be somewhere at their hotel or in a conference room preparing for this championship game. There was travel, there's expense incurred in this situation. This is supposed to be a good learning experience for these kids. And it went from a great experience into a disaster because these kids couldn't stay focused. They got distracted, went to a sporting goods store unaccompanied by any adults and decided to steal. And they thought it was a game. And when they got arrested and detained, it was not a game. This is real life. So the players on the United Thoroughbreds team, their ages were 14 and 15, had traveled to Polk County from Pennsylvania, where they stole items worth $2,296.07 from the store that Saturday morning, according to police. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, this came across his desk. He lambasted the boys online for their crimes. So this made not national news, but it did make the news throughout the state of Florida. This is embarrassing. These kids are supposed to be going there to have fun, to enjoy the game, to try to win a championship, and they get distracted and decide to go commit a felony crime and get arrested and detained. And it's an embarrassment not only for the kids, but for the state of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, and of course the parents and the coaches that were there to make sure these kids were doing the right thing. This got completely, it's almost like the train going in a positive direction got knocked off its track. So Governor Ron DeSantis said that they picked the wrong state and the wrong county. That's what he posted on X. In a press conference, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said that 8 juveniles Ubered to the store. Listen to it. Now, how did they get an Uber when they're 14 and 15? They can't have an account. So some adult had to get them the Uber, and that same adult did not go with them. And they should have been accompanied by 3 or 4 adults, or they shouldn't have even gone. Why do they go in a Dick's Sporting Goods store when they get ready to play a championship game in a few hours? They should be focused on that. They should have all the equipment they need, the shoes. They should have brought that from Philadelphia. This distraction makes no sense to me whatsoever, and how these kids ended up allegedly stealing, and then getting arrested. So it says that they Ubered to the store where they allegedly stuffed 47 items into bags and their pants before leaving the store. It goes on to say, I don't know if these were the starters or not, but I can tell you that Sheriff Judd said the state of Florida and Polk County were the finishers. We arrested him, Judd said at the press conference. He unrolled an oversized receipt with all the stolen articles to emphasize the thefts. Sheriff Judd called the team the Thoroughbred Thieves and said they worked together in teams of 2 to steal, according to store footage. There was camera footage of this whole deal. All 8 suspects declined to provide statements. Of course, they're minors, and they had no prior criminal arrest on record, according to Polk County Sheriff's Office. Due to them being detained, they were unable to play in their championship game later that day, where they lost to the Coca Tigers 26-6. The suspects are facing charges of retail theft over $750 and conspiracy to commit retail theft. Now, the conspiracy comes in because it was more than one and they operated, like they said, in teams of two. It was at least 8 of them. So that is where the conspiracy comes in. They conspired to go into this store to commit this crime instead of conspiring to run the right plays, do the right thing in the football game, and win the championship. They said they were facing over conspiracy to commit theft, retail theft, which are both felonies. So they had retail theft over $750 and conspiracy to commit retail theft, which are both felonies. They will have to return to Florida from Pennsylvania to face these charges against them. So this is going to include their parents. We don't know if these are low-income kids. What we do know, and unfortunately I have to say this out in the open, yes, these were African-American young teenagers or young black boys, which does not look good whatsoever. So based on the parents' income, are they going to be able to, when they get a court date, to travel from Philadelphia to Florida? You're talking a long drive, or you're talking about expensive plane tickets. If they don't show up in court, there's going to be a warrant for those kids. So they took a situation where they were going to play a football game, and there's supposed to be chaperones and coaches and parents there. How did these kids, a few hours before the game, sneak away, get an Uber, go to Dick's Sporting Goods store, commit these thefts and these crimes, sticking items in their pants and in bags, over 47 items, and they get caught? There's surveillance cameras everywhere, inside the store, outside of the store. These kids did not realize what they were getting themselves into, and where were the parents? I'm doing this story because this is a caveat to what we see in society today. We have a purging and a certain element of society that is the children of the corn. They're raising themselves. There's no discipline, there are no rules. They're not doing, they're disruptive in school. They're not learning. And we're going to have a whole generation of folks that are going to be unemployable, will have criminal records, will be looking at prison and incarceration, and possibly even death through committing crimes in many of our dangerous cities. This is just a telltale sign of what not to do. And when you are going down to play a championship game, which you should be proud of, they got distracted and decided to allegedly steal at a Dick's Sporting Goods. Now they got to go back to Florida. Hopefully they have the money. They're going to be fines associated with it, and hopefully they can get this resolved without there being warrants and them getting arrested again. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive way.